I've said it before and I'll say it again. In the ever growing and increasingly saturated Souls like genre, more than ever, new games need to break away from the copy and paste Dark Souls strategy and bring fresh ideas, environments, and gameplay to the table to impress players. What is even more impressive is when small teams are able to produce shining examples of what I'm talking about, like Codex Lost. Codex Lost is a new Souls-like action RPG made by a single developer. Yes, you heard me correctly. I had the pleasure of playing the game for the past week, so a massive thank you to Free Mana Games and John Dusoff for giving me a review copy. Let's break down why Codex Lost deserves your time and attention. Now, just a note right up front, at the time of this recording, I'm only a third of the way through the game, so you might consider this a review in progress. However, I feel like I've seen enough of the game to bring you all a review. More on why I am only a third of the way through the game in a minute. In Codex Lost, you play as a mage or a curator who is bound to the Great Library and the first of our kind to appear in 100 years. We're tasked in bringing back 5 magical tomes to the Great Library. These tomes, or grimoires as the game calls them, are tied to major bosses of the game. Now, if you're familiar with my content and how I normally play Souls and Souls like games, a mage is normally not my primary choice. I'm normally running around bonking and smashing things with a giant sword or hammer. With the large amount of Souls like games releasing over the last few years, I've begun to branch out from strength builds, so the idea of being forced into playing as a mage was an enticing challenge for me. Just like any Souls like game, you have stats to level up, which are pretty self explanatory, especially since the explanations for the stats are right on the screen. Also, as a nice quality of life improvement, you can add consumable currency items called Arcana right on the same level up screen instead of exiting out and going into your inventory. In the Great Library, you can level up, attune spells, and perform spellcrafting. As you explore the vast interconnected world, you acquire materials both by defeating enemies and picking up items along the way, which aid in your spellcrafting. There are various schools of magic, and enemies will vary in the spells that they are weak or resistant to. I have a starter guide coming out in a bit, which will go over things like that, so stay tuned for that. Now, the reason why I'm only a third of the way through the game is because, according to the developer, the game will take about 30 to 40 hours for a casual playthrough. More ambitious players like myself will probably spend about 60 hours getting the Platinum Trophy, which includes going into New Game Plus to achieve a different ending. The open world design, in my opinion, is phenomenal with interconnectivity everywhere. It reminds me of the last hero of Nostalgaia because you really need to build a mental map of the world to run around in it efficiently. There is fast travel in 2 different modes. First, you can warp to portals, which are normally at the start of major zones. Then, inside the zones are various interconnections to different dungeons in which you might find your second fast travel point, which are called memory fonts. But you can only have one of these active at a time. With all the interconnections and shortcuts, you can travel around pretty quickly once you get your bearings. Exploration and getting lost in the world is one of the key factors I look for in a Souls like, and Codex Lost has nailed this one. Combat can take some getting used to if you're not used to playing as a mage. The spells you use and managing your mana efficiently is a key mechanic in the game. While exploring, your mana does regenerate over time. You can gain small amounts back by parrying attacks with your shield and defeating enemies. There are also consumables to gain mana back, but they're fairly limited. So, what do you do as a mage when you have no mana? Well, there are basic spells in each school of magic that you can cast that cost absolutely no mana at all, which is very, very nice. So, it's up to you to decide when to conserve your mana or drop a big nuke on your enemies. You have up to 10 spell slots you can gain over time as you level up your memory stat. I do have one tiny complaint about how these are activated, though. On PC, you can hold a button and then press the numbers 1 through 10 to activate each of your spells. On consoles, though, you hold the L2 or left trigger button and then you can only activate 4 spells by pressing the face buttons on the front of your controller. So, square, X, triangle, circle, etc. If you want to use your spells in slots 5 through 10, you then need to press the up arrow on the D pad instead to get to them. Now, I guess doing that is no different than scrolling through your spells in Elden Ring, but for me as a visually handicapped player, I would find it easier to, say, hold the L2 button, and if I needed spells in slots 5 through 8, I could hit like right or left on the D pad and have access to those. I would personally find that easier as I could memorize the spells I had assigned to each face button. Like I said, small gripe of mine. I really can't complain at all about the graphics of the game, considering it's in Unreal Engine and it was created by a single developer. Enemy and boss design is well done and has not gotten repetitive at all so far in my playthrough. Sound design is also well done, and all music in the game feels fitting. I personally would have liked a bit more ambient music in the open world zones, though, and the voice acting is very well done, in my opinion, and some of you will probably notice some familiar voices. In terms of performance, for the most part, it has been rock solid. There have been a couple bumps, but that is only because I've been playing ahead of launch. When I recorded the first 4 episodes of the Let's Play series, which starts later today, there were some pretty pronounced stutters when defeating enemies, picking up items, and running. I reported this to the dev, and he said the publisher would have a patch out later in the day, and sure enough, they did, which solved the stuttering issues right away. I also experienced an issue where if I spammed zero cost mana spells, sometimes my character would freeze up and would only be able to move and nothing else. This cost me some souls or arcana on a few occasions. The developer was prompt in responding to me and sent files over to the publisher for a fix. At the time of this recording, that patch has not been released yet, but I'll definitely place a pinned comment on the video whenever it is. But I think this really demonstrates the developer's dedication to the game. You can tell right away that a lot of love and care went into this game. And other than these things, I have not seen any other issues in the game so far. I can't really comment on replayability at this time since I haven't finished the game yet. However, at this point, I do feel the incentive to go into New Game Plus and get the Platinum Trophy. Obviously, with replayability, there are factors not existent here that are present in other Souls-like games like build diversity. You'll always be playing as a mage in the game, and due to how the enemies are weak or resistant to certain spells, those things won't change, but there are 80 or so spells in the game that you can experiment quite a bit with these. So how does Codex Lost stack up in the ever-growing Souls-like genre? As I said before, the size and scale, graphics, gameplay, and design of the game are extremely impressive for being made by a singular person. As of now, I'm giving this game an 8.5 out of 10, and I'll put a pinned comment below if that score changes when I finish the game. I personally do not have any issue recommending this game to Souls-like action RPG fans, especially considering the content you're getting with the game only priced at $25 at launch with a 10% discount for a bit. That's legit, flat out no-brainer to me. So what do you guys think? Is this something you're interested in? Did this review help you out make a purchase decision? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love hearing from all of you. So that is going to do it for the review for Codex Lost. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully you're doing well. Stay tuned. More coming at you.